Hi, and welcome to the Unknown Secrets of SEO podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Unknown Secrets of SEO. Got another fun-filled edition ready to go for you.
My name is Chris Burris, owner of E-Webstyle.
And I'm Paul Hansen, sales manager at E-Webstyle.
This is podcast number 55. I don't have my little cheat sheet.
That's what's up.
Yeah, 55.
That's a
wow,
lot.
That's a lot. And not only that, we got like 2 accolades that we're going to be going over today. We've got some really bizarre analysis, courtesy of David Bowie. I said David again, didn't I?
His brother.
Darren Bowie.
What's up, Darren?
How's it going, Darren? And we've got lots of information to cover. So a little bit, we like to cover what we covered last time. We covered Google keyword results and how it related to like an analysis that we were doing for a particular customer. In that case, a blinds and shades customer here in the Houston area. We also covered Google local sponsored ads and the 45-minute conversation I had with a Google sales rep, which we've figured is probably a contractor hired by Google.
Yes.
It's not an actual Google employee.
I
You
doubt
burst my
it
bubble.
is.
You burst my bubble. I thought Google was on the phone with me.
For $25.
For $25 a month and for an hour.
Yeah.
He's not paid very well.
Yeah, really.
So go back and listen to those. Really good stuff. That would be podcast number 54. For those of you who are watching, hello out there. You can view our podcast live at 9:15 Central Standard Time on Fridays. This one's running a little bit late, and that's okay because
I was late.
Because we have loyal viewers who are here with us. So hi out there, thanks for viewing. If you want to, you can actually go back and view this podcast. All you need to do is go to e-webstyle.com/ustream, and that'll take you I'm smelling like the bowl is on fire.
I was like,
I think it's the bowl. We had a little technical challenge before we started the podcast. The lighting that we had, and I would say,
dude, that thing is smoking.
Yeah, this has got some dirt on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we had to replace our bulb because the other one broke. It wasn't Paul. We have the video to prove it. And now we put in a new bulb, which is a little dusty and is causing a little smoke. So if we start coughing, you know why. So go back, listen to that podcast. You can view the podcast at Ustream. You can also view the podcast at YouTube. We're running a little bit behind on cutting the videos and putting them up online. And you can find them at e-webstyle.com/YouTube. That will take you to our YouTube page. How can they stalk us? They can stalk us a couple ways, right?
Facebook, Twitter. Facebook, go to e-webstyle/Facebook. Takes you right to our Facebook fan page. Become a fan, like it, whatever they call it these days. Twitter, go to, what's our Twitter feed?
Twitter.com.
Twitter.com/e-webstyle.
Yeah, without a dash. So, and then email.
Podcast, I shouldn't have to spell that for you, at e-webstyle.com.
And speaking of emails, why don't we jump into, Darren, am I saying Darren again? No, Darren is right.
It's Darren. Our main man, Darren. Bowie.
All right, we're going to post this on our blog. This is a really cool analysis. It's kind of the premise. It started with a search engine called ecosia.org, and that's ecosia.org. And apparently, what they're doing, they are using Bing/Yahoo results for their search results. And when you do searches and the paid listings, 80% of the profits are actually going towards saving the rainforest. So
that's
Darren,
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, and they have a nice video. They go through the analysis. They actually talk about how much rainforest you're saving per search. And Darren had the idea that, hey, I'm going to calculate, how long is it going to take to save the entire rainforest? And that's based on the 75 million acres of rainforest. And I'm going to calculate how long it would take for Ecosia to actually save the entire rainforest. And he came out with some astronomical number, and then 7,879 years of searching.
Wow.
That's a long time.
That is a long time.
Now
It'll probably be gone before that.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be some sort of collision of saving the rainforest and there not being anymore.
Yeah.
So at some point, it'll probably be a lot less than 7,000 years. what he did then, which is pretty interesting, is what if Google were to adopt the same policy? And then he did a calculation on how, based on the number of searchers people make on Google, and based on the number of acres, actually square meters, cubic meters of rainforest they save per search at Ecosia, he came up with a number of 1.94 years of rainforest could be totally saved by if Google were to do the same thing as Ecosia.
It'd take 2 years to save the rainforest?
Well, actually, he went back because apparently that was 2003 search data. If you use current search data, because searches are significantly higher, it's only 327 days.
Gosh, I should have hired Darren to do my taxes.
Maybe he's still available.
I may.
You still have a couple more days.
I already found it, but I mean, gosh, dude, I'm looking at these numbers like, dude, you should have did my taxes, man. That's very cool, Darren. Thanks a lot.
This is awesome. We're gonna put this out out on our blog, and certainly give you due credit, David or Darren. We'll give you and your twin credit for that effort.
We're creating alter egos for our listeners.
That is pretty cool. So the way he got that information to us, and the way that he's going to get an actual page on our blog, is by sending his email to podcast@e-webstyle.com. All right. News. This is interesting. We're always hearing about how Google is kind of chipping away at Apple and other people.
And going to war with China.
Who would win? That's a
really
So where
good
does
argument.
Google fit in the game of Risk?
Oh.
Right? Because you got countries.
They
and
own
then
everything.
Then you've got Google. So Apple is coming out, and their latest OS 4.0 is coming out with a thing called iAd. So they're going after Google now.
Oh, iAds,
right? So that's in the phone, and certainly is going to be in the iPad as well. And I don't know if you know this, but Apple, you can't use Adobe Flash on Apple products.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. There may be a hack. Javier, is there a hack for that? Do you know? Not yet. There's no hack for it. You can't even use Adobe products at Flash Adobe on Apple iPhones or iPads. And there's a reason for that, and I actually heard that earlier this week, which is if you can use Flash components, then all of a sudden Apple's control over the applications disappears.
Oh, okay. I know they're really
you
stickler
can write
about
games in
controlling
Flash,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
So if you can write games in Flash, then there's a way to get games on an iPad or an iPhone without Apple having control over it, and that is no bueno for Apple. So Adobe had found a way to get their stuff on it, and Apple changed their terms of development. So now developers are restricted and can't actually use the Adobe processes, so still you can't have Flash on there. Net neutrality. There was a big decision on net neutrality. You never heard of net neutrality?
I am.
It was a big thing, and then it was marketed, and then net neutrality was, on the ISP sides, and basically what it was saying that ISPs don't have the right to restrict traffic. So net neutrality, all traffic needs to be treated equally, and so there's kind of two schools of thought. One is, I don't know, let's say you're Comcast and you sell a voice over IP product, and you decide to limit, Vonage traffic. Well, then you're going to then Vonage's voice over IP service is not going to work as well as your service, so people are going to switch over to you. I think that's a severe conflict of interest, and I'm tending towards net neutrality in that sense. Now, the ruling was that the FCC doesn't have the right to tell ISPs how to run their network. I also agree with that.
I agree. I'd be holding back on Vonage too. I'd put Vonage out of business if they were on my line.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just a capitalist.
You are a capitalist pig.
Put them out of business.
You would kill people and their jobs and their families.
Everybody. Yeah.
This is
against
bad.
Me. Yeah.
So they made a ruling. FCC's still pushing forward. It's interesting to see how that's all gonna unfold. But some pretty cool stuff there. We got to get a shout out We like our international shout outs. I just choose, we have on Podomatic, you can find our podcast at ewebstyle.podomatic.com. Actually, go there while you're there. Join or do whatever you need to do to become a friend and a fan or whatever of our show. We appreciate it. From the reviews that we're getting, we know that a lot of people are appreciating our information and the way we present it. So let us know. Let us hear back from you. So on Podomatic, I can look at our statistics, and we've got this map. Actually, we've got a map over there. So for you guys who take the time to pull up the video, this is what one of the maps looks like. In fact, let's see if we can get it closer in there. So this map looks like this. It shows you exactly where people are listening to our podcast. Every now and then I pull up one of those little numbers, and we give a shout out to Sao Paulo.
So wow, Brazil.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
Have you been to Sao Paulo? Or
I was in the Sao Paulo airport. I went to Rio.
For Carnival, right?
For Carnival. Whoever's listening in Sao Paulo, I would love some pictures because I know y'all just had Carnival. So
you're
send
missing
us
it?
some pictures.
You're missing it? Wishing you were there? Yeah.
Yes.
I can imagine. I'd love to. One of my dream vacations was actually would have liked to drive from Houston down to Rio for Carnival. One of the things I didn't realize is you can't get between Panama and Colombia. There's a dense rainforest, speaking of rainforest, that is impassable. So you would have to take your vehicle. Well, maybe there's some way to get on an old Range Rover and 6 months and 8 tires and,
you get through there.
4 winches later, the mechanical ones, not the female ones. Because those are available in Rio.
I was thinking that.
So that dream vacation is over. But Carnival would be a blast. So Sao Paulo, thank you for listening. And you know what? Why don't you get on, submit some information, send us an email, let us know who you are, and we can give you some link love. All right, so this is a good. You want to take care of this one?
Sure. Our main man Robert sent us an email, who was actually recommended by our main man Darren Bowie. Darren recommended to the podcast. He's been listening. He's been working. He's been improving his site, and he says for his website, acrylic-splashbacks.com. And if you're wondering, splashbacks means backsplash. Well, that's what we call it here in the States, backsplash. Or maybe I'm just wrong. He said, all right, for our keywords, acrylic splashbacks. Number 1, we are first listing, first page of Bing. Congratulations. Number 2, we're on the first page of Yahoo, 4th, 5th, and 7th listing. Congratulations again. Number 3, we're on the second page of Google, but have links to our website on the first page. So,
awesome.
Wow.
Good job.
That is awesome.
So how do you learn how to do that?
It says probably worth mentioning. This company is less than 12 months old, and I've done this from basically listening to your podcast and working with Darren Bowie, who's also a podcast.
So hold on. So he listened to our podcast, got on the first listing on the first page of Bing, first page of Yahoo, 4, 5, and 7th listing, and he's on the second page but has links on the first page of Google from listening to our podcast.
Yes.
Wow. That is awesome.
I think that's really awesome.
That is really awesome.
And thanks for that. Thanks, Darren, and thanks, Robert. That's Robert at acrylic-splashbacks.com. And Robert, I'm sorry, man. If I have it wrong and it really is splashbacks, please correct me, because I've always heard it as backsplash.
I think it's backsplash, and yeah. And by the way, if you're not aware, that's the thing that goes behind the sink so that it doesn't splash on the sink, and usually in a kitchen, maybe a bathroom or whatever. Now he does ask a question about Google Analytics. It says, and I'm going to read this. All of our subpages are showing the same number of visitors and time on the site. Add new profile to, he puts in parentheses, add new profile to domain, enter subpages, for example, aboutus.html, then install the code. And he's just getting the same results. I frankly don't understand exactly what you're doing, but I went to your website and I looked at your Google Analytics number. And you've got your Google Analytics number and then a -13 on our About Us page and a -2 on your index page. That dash for us, we use for totally different domains. So it's the same main account and totally different domain. So patrickwanis.com is something that we follow in the same account, and it's got a -5. And every page on patrickwanis.com has a -5. In E-Webstyle, it's, let's say a -2. Every page in E-Webstyle has a -2. So I know that Darren had asked this question earlier. all of your pages on your site should have the exact same account information. Google knows what page it's visiting and what page is actually being viewed. So I would make that change and see if that fixes your problem. And if it doesn't, then hit us back, let us know what's going on. I can kind of glance at your website and we'll figure out what's going on there. Now this is also cool. He's got a PS. Why don't you do your show why don't you do 2 shows a week? One with new stuff and the other with user requests, interviews, and problems. I mean, what a compliment. They just want us to do more. They want more information. Thank you so much for that compliment. We're definitely going to take that into consideration. A lot of effort goes into the podcast, so it isn't exactly a revenue generating thing.
But as soon as we get Google to sponsor us, you got it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, all podcast all the time.
There you go.
Google sponsors us.
That'll work.
He did ask if we're still running the free SEO evaluation.
Yes, we are, except for you. No, send me a request and we'll definitely get it back to you.
That's not right.
Sorry, Rob.
Everything in the U.S. All right, so we had a question today, this week that came in, and I forget, somebody called and was asking about, I think actually our web designer, Javier. Say hello over there, Javier.
Hello.
He came and he asked, he said, there's how do we get malware? How do we get Google, so a website that he was working with had malware on it, and he's like, okay, well, how do I, Google is saying it's got malware. In fact, what Google does is, if your site, and this happened to us when we got a website Start Smart as a client, and they were, I don't know, their CMS, the host
just kept getting
the host was hosed.
Yeah, there you go.
And so, we're trying to mitigate it. We're trying to get everything off of there, and we're also trying. Now they're hosting with us, and what happens is when you show up in a search result, Google actually puts this line. It says this site may harm your computer. Generally, not good for getting traffic.
Most people aren't going to go there. I won't go there unless I absolutely know your site is good. So I think that's going to turn a lot of people away.
Yeah, that's bad. I think in general we don't go for that. Yeah. Okay. We agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then even worse, if you do click it before you actually get to the website, Google puts a warning. Warning: visiting this website may harm your computer. Suggestions: return to the previous page. Try another search. Again, not a best practice. So how do you get it? So that Google, we know that Google is going to index it again, and it probably, if the malware is removed, some months from here, Google will unremove all this malware shenanigans. What if you want it done quicker? And you probably do. You need to go into Webmaster Tools. Inside Webmaster Tools, there's an option for, it'll tell you pretty much right away. When we were working with Start Smart, I remember it was like plastered right there, and then you'd click a couple buttons, and it said, on the Webmaster Tool page, select the site you want. In the parts of this site may be distributing malware message, so there's a message there. Click for more details, and then click request a review. And then Google will pretty shortly thereafter review your website, and they'll turn it back live, or if they find more malware, they'll leave it in a bad way.
That's cool. We should actually send this to. I think the Brazilian embassy here in the States has that on their website.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I was working with one of our clients and pulling information off that site. Man, I wish I knew it off the top of my head, but it's a site where you go and you fill out the online application for a Brazilian visa. And it says on the embassy website, it says, click this. Don't worry, it's not contaminated. It's a safe site. That was on the embassy website.
So they put it on their.
It's like a link from the embassy website to get to their online application, and they put it on there. Don't worry, it's a safe site. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, I was like, wow. Y'all need to listen to our podcast. the whole country.
That is a Brazilian solution, right? Kind of a third world solution. Hey, we're not going to worry about the actual warning. We're just going to tell them to ignore the warning.
Ignore the warning. So yeah, I just saw that this week. I thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, I'll find it. Maybe I'll put it on the next podcast if they haven't listened.
No explosives allowed.
Yeah.
Except here.
Somebody just Google online Brazilian visa application and you'll see it.
Well, if we get a hold of them, hopefully you won't see it. That is hilarious. We've got another. This is another review that I just pulled off of iTunes today.
Oh,
by the way, we really appreciate reviews. We'll be giving some link love to this guy. And more important than that, we just if you're getting anything good out of this podcast, please go to iTunes, create a simple, easy account, and then write a very nice review about us, and give us good advice, because here Matt gives us some good advice. He definitely did.
It says, these guys with some great information for anyone interested in SEO. My only complaint is that they need a new microphone. If you need any technical advice, guys, email me at matt@videomatt.com. So Matt, thanks for the shout out, or for the info. We're gonna give you some backlink love. You can visit. So if anyone needs technical advice, Matt is the expert at videomatt. matt.com. Thanks, Matt.
By the way, Matt, we had kind of recognized the issue before. Some of our podcasts, if you listen to a bunch of them, you'll notice that some of them are really, I don't know, what would you call them? Crappy?
Awesome.
Oh,
sorry.
The audio. You're right. The content is awesome. Just ask Matt. And the audio is apparently crappy. Okay. Just ask Matt. And we found out the reason when I'm setting it up so that this is broadcasting live. Actually, our process is we broadcast it live, we pull down the video and audio, we strip out the audio, and then we play it. Well, sometimes I had been neglecting. See this? I'm holding right now a very nice microphone, which is obviously not the one we're using, but we're using a twin of this microphone. And other times I forget to change to the new microphone, and we're using the microphone on the webcam. Oh. The microphone on the webcam, not so good.
Not so great.
The microphone that I just showed you is doing really good, so that is in fact what we're using on this particular podcast. So that is awesome. Do we have? I think we've covered everything for podcast number 55. Let me just go through my notes here. No, looks good.
The very request, spyware, malware, underwear. All that good stuff.
Well, this then brings us to the end of podcast number 55. You are listening to the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. We keep making more and more progress. We were a little bit behind on our podcast, so we're catching up. So if you're noticing that you're getting 2 a week, that's because we're getting caught up to where we're at. And if you're listening to this, it makes no sense to you.
Yeah, we're like, oh, okay, whatever.
But if you're watching this, then you understand what we're talking about, because if you watch and listen, then it all makes sense mathematically. Hey, maybe we could get Darren to do the math on that.
Yeah. And my taxes.
He's good. And actually, I haven't done my taxes. We could get him to do
that. Then there's help.
Do you know much about U.S. taxes? I don't know. Anyway,
smart guy, you can figure it out.
Anyway, you are listening to the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. This is the end of podcast number 55. My name is Chris Burris.
And this is Paul Hansen.
Bye-bye for now.